How much do you weigh, just about?
320, I think.
320, okay. All right.
And I sat on her to try to restrain her. And she kept kicking and bucking against the wall. And she said, "Cousin Veronica, I can't breathe."
And you're sitting on her, right?
Right, friends, in today's episode of America's Most Stupid, we have Veronica Posey. Now, the title of this video is not clickbait. Hey, look, even the New York Post shared the same headline. Now, she is being questioned in the death of 9-year-old Dericka Chavonne Smith. In this video, I'll show you all the crime scene photos. They'll be displayed throughout. I'll play her interview for you now. I also have the interview of the other two parties involved, and I'll come in with more details.
So normally when I go there, I haven't been over there in a while because I told my aunt, I said, "Look, I end up in jail behind these kids because they're out of control." So I hadn't been over there in about a month or so.
Mm-hmm.
Because after the state called me, and I had them for about a week to give my aunt a release because Chavonne had been cutting up so bad with them over there. I had her and Rachel both. They don't give me no problems. They're good kids, but at home, they're holy terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
And I told my aunt, I said, "You know what? They know James has a disability. He has short-term memory. And you need to get your hand taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to be codependent on them. And they can stop acting like they're grown and run the house." I said, so it's best for me to stay home. Because they were very manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved them.
Mm-hmm.
And they loved me. Matter of fact, they came by the house Saturday night with Grace to get some clothes while I had them that week. And
so you just had them within the last week or two?
No, it's been in the early part of the summer, I think.
Okay.
Or maybe it was in the summer for a week I had them.
Okay.
Because they had walked away from home. And Grace didn't know where they were. And she had called a social worker to come get them. And they didn't have placement for them at that time. So just to give them a break and get them out the house, they called me and asked me to come get them. Because they knew that I would, be good to them. And they don't give me no problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's just when they get home. But all of a sudden, Chavonne, from what I could hear from my aunt, was defiant everywhere she went. Stealing from the school, getting disrespectful with the principal. And they was telling me she talked to the beautician like she was a dog yesterday. And I told Chavonne when she was over there Friday night, I said, "Baby, check your attitude. Your attitude stink. You need to check it. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am." It's always yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am to me. They don't get disrespectful from me. Because I told them, I said, "I'm going to spank you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to run over me. You're not going to talk to me no anyway, kind of way. You're only 8 and 9 years old. You got to respect your elders." I said, "Because James and Grace are handicapped. And you're taking advantage of it." And so when she called me, like I said, I ate a banana muffin and Jello and took my medication. And I went over there. So they tried to open the front door, but they couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because Chavonne had put a knife in the door to try to get out. They said the night before. Because my aunt told her she was going to put her behind. Because she was threatening them. And so I said, "Okay, don't worry about it. I'll walk around to the back door, open the back door." So Grace opened the back door and I went into the house. And of course, hey, cousin Veronica, how you doing? Blah, 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 blah. I said, Chavonne, I said, Grace told me she got ready to whoop you and you ran again. I said, what I tell you about running away from James and Grace? I told you have to respect them. They take care of you. They buy you clothes. You get the best of the best. And yet you talk to them like they're nothing. And Grace said, well, she had a knife. She was going to cut her. She had a hammer. I said, Chavonne, what's wrong with you? Lost your mind or something? And so I proceeded to try to restrain her for Grace to hold her. But of course, I've had 2 back surgeries and rotary cup surgery a year ago. So I asked James, I said, James, help me restrain her for Grace to whoop her.
Okay, she's now about to tell you what happened and how this girl died. So let me relay the characters for you. And this is Veronica, right? The victim is Dericka Chavonne Lindsay, their cousins, right? James and Grace are the adopted parents of Chavonne. And because they felt Chavonne was quite a troublemaker, they would ask Veronica to discipline her. So she's at the house disciplining her. Anyway, let's get back to it.
So Grace hit her with the belt about, I don't know, maybe 10 licks or something like that.
Now, was James there?
Yes.
So James was helping you
Restrain her. Yeah. And so we released her. I said, now, Chavonne, you've been over here. Grace and James was there, and they was telling me what she had done.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, she took a knife when Grace locked the door last night so she could unlock the door to get out so she wouldn't get a whooping.
Okay.
And part of the knife is stuck in the lock. Then Grace was telling me about the knife and the hammer. And James was talking about how she was talking back at him and how she had got into Grace's face. And she's been really abusive. And this is not the first time, but this is the first time it's been this terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, Chavonne, later I'm going to whoop your butt. So I had the little ruler with the little light pipe on it in my hand, not take together nothing. And I was whooping her on her butt because I like butt. I don't like legs. I hit you on the butt. And she started bucking and fighting and running and stuff. And we were trying to restrain her. And she was jumping across the couch just like, I'm the boss here.
Mm-hmm.
You have no control here. So I said, okay. So I said, Chavonne, I caught her by the shirt. And we were at the chair. And I said, sit down. And she wouldn't sit down. She was bucking and rolling and everything. So I said, okay, Chavonne, get on your knees. Because she was in front of the chair. He like holding on the wall to keep from sitting down.
Okay.
So I said, get down on your knees, Chavonne. Just fall on your knees. And when she went down on her knees, I had an opportunity to restrain her. And I sat on her to try to restrain her. And she kept kicking and bucking against the wall. And she said, Cousin Veronica, I can't breathe. I said, oh, Chavonne, you playing? Yes, you can. I said, you have room to raise your head. And I'm not on your whole upper part. I'm just sitting on the rear end of you. Mm-hmm. You got room. So she said, I can't breathe. So I sit there for a moment and she stopped bucking. So I said, I got up. I said, Chavonne, get up. I thought she was playing. I said, Chavonne, get up. She didn't move. I said, Chavonne, get up. I said, stop playing. You're not going to get another whipping. Get up. And she didn't move. So then I asked Grace, do you have some ammonia? Because I could put it under her nose if the heat had got to her or something in the midst of struggling, to bring her back. And she said, no, she had vinegar. I put some vinegar on a paper towel. She didn't move. So I asked for a bottle of water. And I put some on the back of her neck. She still didn't move. So I started feeling for a pulse.
Mm-hmm.
I said, y'all help, because I couldn't pick her up. She's too heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, y'all help me. We tried to pick her up from the chair. I said, Grace, we need to call 911. I'm not getting up. I didn't get nothing. I said, we need to call 911. And her phone was right behind me, so I called 911. And so the operator told us to turn her over. So me and James and Grace, we turned her over on the floor, and then he told me how to do chest compressions. But she didn't come around. And that's what happened.
Okay.
It wasn't intentionally. I loved him and they loved me.
Mm-hmm.
But they would give me a respect that they wouldn't give my aunt and uncle.
Mm-hmm.
You could take them anywhere normally and they'll do fine. But at home, they were destructive. They just were like animals. But I would go over there and sit and talk to them. And sometimes we would go riding and ice cream, I'd pick them up from the beauty shop and take them home. Just keeping it, talk to them about respect and doing good in schools and get on Chavonne about her attitude and her mouth. And maybe you're only 9 years old. You can't do what you do. I said, Grace, what are you going to do if she's 12? She's just 9.
Okay, so she just confirmed that she literally sat on her cousin to discipline her, and then her cousin, well, I guess she suffocated. But looking at her demeanor, do you feel sorry for her? Do you think this was just a pure accident? Or do you think, well, you tortured these kids anyway, I don't feel any sympathy for you? Comment, tell me what you think. The police officer is now going to try and break down this confession.
And that's what happened.
Okay. Well, so there's a couple things that I want to go back and talk a little bit more about, okay? First of all, I know that you're hearing this information from Grace, but when did they say that this stuff happened with the knife and the hammer?
The night before and in the morning, the earlier part of today, I think.
Okay, so it's something that happened last night and kind of continued over until this morning?
Yes.
Okay, did Grace ever tell you exactly what happened with the knife and the hammer?
She told me Chavonne tried to cut her with the knife.
Okay.
And I can't remember what James said something about the knife too.
Okay.
But I can't remember what his part was about the knife.
Okay. So when you got there, you went in the back door, and how long were you there before you started
anything happened
trying to discipline her?
I walked in the door and I was talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe 15 or 20 minutes.
Okay, so you were trying to talk some sense into her.
Yeah.
And what was she doing?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Like she always does when I talk to her.
Okay.
But the minute James or Grace say something, that's not true. I didn't do that, and you this. I said, they're lying, Chavonne. They take care of you, baby.
So how did it go from she's being respectful to you to spanking her? How did it get to that point where we can't talk anymore? Now it's got to be
we
discipline.
were restraining her for Grace because Grace was the one that was punishing her.
Okay.
And she was bucking against Grace, and she refused to cooperate with Grace to get the whooping Grace was going to give her. I say whooping, a little light belt.
So what was the punishment for? What was the whooping going to be for?
Grace was getting on her about talking to her so disrespectful about the knife, about the tip of the knife in the doorknob. I think the hammer. I don't,
Okay.
I
but
wasn't.
It was kind of for everything.
It was for everything.
And that was the punishment that she was going to carry out.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said it was a belt?
Yes.
And where did the belt come from?
It's Grace's.
Okay. And where was Grace?
Standing at the end of the couch.
Which couch? The one with the plastic or the red couch?
The red couch.
Okay. So Chavonne, was she on the couch or was she standing?
When I told her to lay down so Grace could whoop her,
okay,
she was laying down. But in the process of Grace hitting her, she jumped up and she started kicking and bucking and refusing the punishment Grace was giving.
Okay.
So then, that's when I stepped in. I had spoken to her about getting expelled from school. And prior to, there's an enormous amount of money that Chavonne has taken from my aunt in jewelry and
right. She told me about that.
all of that stuff. And so I had told her, I said, Chavonne, when I see you, I'm going to beat your butt. You know better to get expelled from school. Why did you take school property, remove the serial numbers, and then take it back to school? And then when the principal tried to talk to you, I understand you got plenty of attitude. Because I asked Grace, I said, Grace, let me go with her. I don't want to say a word. I just want to sit in the room and check her attitude. Because she would correct it if I'm sitting there. I don't have to say a word. But just the idea I'm in the room, it's going to be a whole nother attitude.
Okay.
Really. And so I said, I told you I was going to get you for that.
Okay. So she was on that chair. It's just a little one-person chair
Yeah.
with a plastic covering on it?
Yes.
Okay. So she was, let's say this is that chair. Would it be fair to say that she got in the chair and she was like this?
No.
No? Okay.
She was standing, leaning up against the chair. Yes.
Okay, so let's say it's exactly against the wall like that chair was.
It's not exact.
Is that about right?
That's about right.
Okay. So she's kind of like this, maybe?
Over the top of the chair.
Did she have her knees in the chair?
No, she was standing up.
So she was just standing and she's trying to brace herself against the wall, maybe?
To get away, yes.
Okay.
And I said, okay, Chavonne, you can't go nowhere. I said, drop to your knees. She said, I can't. I said, yes, you can. I said, drop to your knees.
Okay.
And she did.
So when she dropped to her knees, did her knees go onto the chair? Or did they go onto the floor?
I think they went to the floor. I
Okay.
can't remember. Because she kept saying, I can't. I said, yes, you can. Yes, you can. And when I said, drop to the floor, and she thought she wasn't going no further, I can't remember if her knee going into the chair. I don't remember. All I know is that she went down on her knees.
Okay, so you kind of think she was on the floor at that point with her knees, like maybe this. She dropped to her knees.
Yes.
Why couldn't she get on her knees? Why was she saying she couldn't get on her knees?
She didn't want to.
She just didn't want to?
She didn't want to get on her knees.
Did you guys force her down onto her knees? Did you guys maybe kick her feet out from under her or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
No, none of that. But the thing is that there's a pole. I don't know what you call them.
Like a column?
A column.
Okay.
Right in front of that chair.
Mm-hmm.
So she was kicking against the column and raising up and I couldn't get a grip on her. To calm her down.
So would the column be here or would the column be here? Because I haven't been in the house, so I don't know.
It would be in front of the chair.
Okay, so it would. So this is the chair. Let's just say this is the chair. So it's going to be somewhere here.
Yes.
Okay, so she was sort of using the column to
kick and push her body. That's one reason why she didn't kneel in the chair. I don't think because she was pushing against the wall.
Oh. Oh.
You see what I'm saying?
So maybe she was kind of like suspended in the air a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
From the back of the chair. She wasn't on the wall. She was holding on to the back of the chair.
Uh-huh.
That's what happened.
So how, from that point, did you end up
sitting on
her?
When she went down on her knees, and she was bucking and flipping in the chair and stuff, I said, Chavonne, stop. I want to get up. But when I said, Chavonne, stop. I said, you're not cooperating with us. So she kept on bucking. I said, okay, I know what to do. I'll just sit here and restrain you till you decide to calm down. And that's what happened.
Okay. When you sat down, how was she positioned?
On her knees, with her face upward. She wasn't down into the plastic.
Okay.
Her head was up.
Okay.
And she said, I can't. I said, you can. I said, Chavonne, you're talking to me. And I was saying, well, why'd you do this to me? She was answering me. We was having a conversation.
Uh-huh.
She was answering and bucking. Why did you talk to her like that? I said, she's good to you. Why would you tell her you hate her? Because she's correcting you for something you did. Because she, along with me, we don't really conversate with each other, but I would pick them up from the beauty shop sometime, and she would tell me that she had to get with them about something. And she was saying, I said, well, why'd you do that? Did you do that? Yes. That's the way she was talking.
Okay, so she's answering you. You're asking her these questions.
Yes.
She's answering you. So you said that, and I'm going to demonstrate again.
Okay.
Just I want to make sure that I've got it clear in my mind how this happened. So she's on her knees, the best that you can remember. She's on her knees.
Yeah.
And what are her arms doing? Are her arms on the chair, or is she still fighting, pushing away?
Her arms, because she's behind me, her arms are probably in the chair. Because she's, that was before I sit down.
Okay,
to stop her from pushing against the pole and bucking and trying to kick us. And do the position again.
Okay, so
I think she was had her arms like this.
So she's maybe like this?
Yes.
But her head's up, and she's not in the plastic at this point.
No.
And you're sitting on her, right?
I sit on her about that time.
About this time is when you sit to keep her from
bucking,
doing any more. Okay. And you're at this point, you think she probably hasn't moved. Would that be safe to say? Did her arms start flaring around or anything? Did she start hitting you or anything?
No, she didn't hit me or anything. It was just her feet and her bucking.
She's just moving. You can feel her squirming?
Yeah, she was squirming.
Okay.
Even when I was sitting there trying to hold her down, she was bucking up and down. And, she's on her face in the chair. And instead of just calming down so we can talk to her, she, my head back, sir. Remember, she's lean and she's on her knees in the chair, prayer position. And she's still bucking with her back and her butt to try to get away.
Okay. And you said you had this conversation with her. So, you were sitting there for how long would you say?
Maybe 5 or 6 minutes, I guess.
5 or 6 minutes carrying on this conversation.
And I said, well, and this keep ringing in my ears because my baby gone. She said, I said, Chavonne, why do you do what you do? I don't know. I said, well, you don't do it with me. Why do you do it? You're my cousin. I love you. I said, booba crap, you don't love me. Just the way we were talking. It wasn't no screaming, no yelling. It's just a freak accident.
So, whenever she finally said she couldn't breathe,
That's when I moved.
Okay.
She said it 2 times. She said, Cousin Veronica can't breathe. I said, Vaughn, stop praying. You're just trying to get up from here because you can't move.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to, I calmed her down so her legs had stopped bucking.
Okay.
I said, you're just trying to get up from here. So, because I'm controlling you right now.
Mm-hmm.
She said, no, I can't breathe. I said, oh, you're playing. Stop it, girl. So I sit there for a minute and I got up.
Okay. And that's when you realized
that she was not moving.
Okay.
That's what I realized. She was not moving.
And when all this is going on and you're sitting in the chair, were you putting all of your body weight towards the chair or
towards the end of the chair?
Towards the end of the chair?
Yeah, where her butt was.
Okay.
Not just lean. Because she couldn't, if I did that, she wouldn't be able to breathe. Mm-hmm. She wouldn't be able to move. I was just trying to control her. And I had my feet on the floor. So my complete weight was not on her.
Okay.
It was just enough to reframe her from the bucking and the way she was popping her back, like pushing against it. Because her hands was in the chair. She was pushing her body up against me. That's what she was doing.
Okay. So you're saying that you were kind of maybe not putting all of your pressure on her. So do you kind of feel like maybe you were doing like this? Like maybe a little bit of a squat or something?
Yeah, more of a squat, but not complete, like this. I'll show you how I was doing. I was like, okay, Chavonne, cut it out. Cut it out. Like that. Not complete body weight because she couldn't take it. She's a little girl. Mm-hmm. Okay, even how heavy she was, she's still a little girl. She couldn't take all that pressure. But because she had room enough to wiggle and move around, but I had her refrain so she couldn't move.
And when this is going on, tell me where Grace is.
Grace is in a chair.
She was in her chair?
Yeah, she was sitting at the end of the couch.
Okay.
In her chair.
Where is James?
He was either sitting down at the end of the table or standing up.
But he was right there watching all of it?
Yes.
Okay. Did James ever strike her with anything?
I know they struggled, but I can't remember him hitting her.
Okay.
Because, I was busy trying to hold her myself, so I couldn't really pay attention to James.
Okay.
It was like, he wanted to hit her, I know, and I said, no, don't hit her.
What did he say?
He said, Chavonne, I'll punch you. He said, that's why when Grace asked me to restrain them, and she gets disrespectful, like she wants to hurt me. And see, he's not well himself. Mm-hmm. So to keep his blood pressure down and stuff, he refrains from a lot of what's going on in the house.
I hate to ask you this question, but it is kind of relevant. I know I hate when people ask me, but how much do you weigh, just about?
320, I think.
320, okay. All right.
Okay, so that's the end of Veronica's interview. What do you think? She's certainly remorseful, but how do you sit on a child? What the hell is wrong with you? However, the story is not over. Now we're going to get on to James's interview. So let's see what he had to say from his point of view.
She was kicking, but I just held her down by the shoulder, gently, not real hard. Because, a big guy like me, you don't really have to hold anybody real hard.
Yeah, you're kind of a...
So, and one reason, I held her, but then, I don't like having to discipline kids. I really don't. Mm-hmm. But, so after that, I thought it was over with. So I go, after I held her and Veronica got through spanking her, I thought it was over with. So I went to my room, like I told you.
Okay, so when you're holding her down by the shoulders, was that when Veronica was hitting her with the belt? Or when Grace was hitting her with the belt?
Veronica was hitting her with the belt when I was lightly holding her by the shoulder.
Okay, lightly holding her.
Right.
Okay.
I didn't put any pressure on, but I didn't want her because she was kicking
Uh-huh.
real wild. But I was in back, so I wouldn't get kicked.
Okay.
So I just firmly held her because if you don't, she runs. She has run out the house
Right.
before.
Yeah, she's a runner.
Yeah. We have had the cops come out for that too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what made you go back to your room? Did it seem like it was resolved, or
yeah, that's what I thought it was.
okay? How did you think it was resolved? What was the signal to you that everything was fine at that point?
Usually, it is fine at that point because she has spanked her before, and then that's it. You
Veronica
know, I did
has or Grace?
no Veronica
Okay.
because they try to sometimes just walk all over my wife. So.
Yeah.
And she's disabled. She's 69. I'm 62. We're both retired.
Mm-hmm.
Anything is gonna be like this.
Yeah. So.
But I thought it was done because normally it is.
Well, what did Chavonne do that made you think that it was resolved? Did she have a change of attitude? Did she stop fighting subtly?
She just stopped fighting and sat up. So I just assumed that, okay, then and I don't need to be out here no more.
Did you ever see Veronica with a ruler?
A ruler?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen her with a ruler.
Okay. Today, did you see her?
I didn't see her today with a ruler. No.
Okay. Have you ever known her to use a ruler to carry out discipline?
Not. Usually it's just been the belt.
Okay.
As far as I have seen her discipline the children.
Okay. When's the last time you think that Chavonne was disciplined with a belt or any object that might leave a mark?
I can't really say. I don't. I haven't seen any marks.
Okay. Well, maybe you haven't seen marks, but
okay.
When's the last time you know that she was disciplined with some sort of object, like a belt or a whip or anything that could possibly leave a mark, even if it didn't?
I've only seen the belt.
Okay. When's the last time you saw it?
Today. But that's before I went to my room.
Before today, when's the last time you saw her be disciplined with a belt?
It's been a while.
How long is a while?
A couple months.
Okay. So you say you held her down, you think it's resolved, so you get up and go back to your room.
Because she sat up. So I didn't think anything else was going on. So I like to keep my door closed because if you don't, the kids come in your room. You know, you could be napping, watching TV or whatever. So I didn't think it was no cause for me to remain out there.
Okay, so you go back and you shut your door.
Mm-hmm.
And then what?
Then I hear somebody say, "James, you better come out here." I think it was my wife. I'm not quite sure about who said it. And the incident had been over with. And so I don't know what was going on at that point. So they looked like they were trying to resuscitate her or something like that. But I didn't get close enough to actually.
I mean, so, you're the last person that I'm talking to.
Right.
So I've already gotten the other stories about what happened. Okay. So I'm having a little issue here as far as information on where you were when all of this was happening. Okay. I'm getting information that you were there while Chavonne was on the chair and Veronica was on her.
Who told you that?
Well, I'm not going to sit here and tell you who told me, but I've already talked to the two other people involved, and that's the information that I've got, is that you were there. And if you're there, it is what it is. You know, we can work around it and we can work with you on it, but I don't want you to sit here and try to minimize
No, I'm not.
what you saw.
I'm not. This is a serious offense. I understand that.
Yeah.
She's no longer here. I understand that. But I wasn't out there when that happened. Whatever happened, I don't know.
Okay. I mean, when you came out, you just saw Chavonne
Yeah.
on the chair?
Well, they had got her off the chair, I guess, Grace and Veronica, and they were trying to do CPR on her chest. And then that's when my wife Grace said, well, let's wait a moment and see if we can bring him back or revive her, or whatever term you want to use.
Mm-hmm.
And so they went a couple more minutes, and that didn't work. Then they called 911 and explained to them what was going on.
So when you came out, they were actively trying to give her CPR on the floor?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's not what they told me.
What did they tell you?
They said they asked you to help move her off of the chair. And if that's what it is, look, I want you to just be honest with me here, because it looks bad if you're trying to say things that aren't necessarily true. If other people are already saying that that's what happens, it looks bad if we don't get the real story from you. That's what I'm trying to do.
I did come out and move her off the chair to the floor.
Okay.
But the damage had been done.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, moving her off the chair.
To the floor so they can turn her over and see what they can do.
Okay.
That's all I did.
But whenever you came out, Veronica was still sitting on her.
No. She was standing up. I guess she had been sitting on her. I don't know. I wasn't out there.
I mean, did you ask what happened?
Yeah.
And they said what?
She said she sat on it for a little while. What was I supposed to do at that point?
Well, I mean, you see where I'm having a little bit of a problem with what you're saying versus what they're saying. It's conflicting. And if I've got the conflicting statements there, I tend to believe two people's statements against one person's statement. You know what I mean? It's kind of one of those things where if two people that are separated are saying the same thing, and then this person's saying one thing, what else am I supposed to do? So they're saying that you were in there while Veronica was sitting on Chavonne. And if that's what happened, that's just what happened. But I don't want you to make up little stories that's going to hurt you, you know? I just need to know what you saw.
I'm really too old for this. But, oh man, Jesus. I was out there a little bit, and I did see her sitting on her. But I couldn't see it. My chair's here. There's a desk here. It was piled full of bugs. I had to get up and do like that.
Okay. And that's understandable. You had stuff in your way. You were sitting there in the chair.
But I thought about it, and they tell her to get up off the child. But I didn't do it. And I guess that's on me.
Okay, so what made you say, Veronica, get off of her? What was happening to make you say that?
I didn't say it. That's what bothers me.
You didn't say it.
No.
Okay. What?
Not that I wanted her to continue to sit on her, because that's a little child.
Yeah.
But I guess I just didn't do it. So for that, I'm very sorry. You just don't know. Because I love that little child more than she will know, more than anybody will know.
What was Chavonne doing while this is all happening?
I guess she was saying that she couldn't breathe or something like that. I didn't hear it completely, to be
Okay.
honest with you.
Was Chavonne speaking in a voice? Was it like a whispering sound, and that's why you didn't hear it?
It was low.
It was low.
Yeah. But it
Okay.
sounded like a gurgle sound too.
A gurgle sound?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's all I can tell you.
Okay. And what was Veronica doing? Did she continue to sit there, or did she get up, or did she
She got up
look around
eventually.
and check, or?
I guess she sat there for a while.
How long would a while be?
I can't tell you that. I don't know.
Okay. Can we try to guess? Would it be a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
More towards the latter. 10.
10. So this whole incident of Veronica sitting on Chavonne, you're thinking maybe it was more like 10 minutes?
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Do you know any idea how long from the time that Chavonne was making the gurgling sound and the time that Veronica stood up and you realized that she was unresponsive? How long was that?
2 minutes after she made the gurgling sound, Veronica stood up, I suppose.
You would think something like 2 minutes?
Yeah, 2 minutes. And then she wasn't responsive. She wasn't breathing or nothing.
Okay, so his version of events is similar to what Veronica says. The only question is, was he in his room? How long was he in the living room? And what was his actual culpability? Well, let's get on to Grace Smith's version, and then I can conclude and tell you what happened in the end.
And explain to me how this happens. Veronica's going to spank her. Does she grab her and hold her? Does she put her onto the floor? Did she put her on the couch and spank her? How did
Well, the
it
first
happen?
thing she was doing was running.
Okay. Chavonne was running?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then Gerard told, I don't have to run after you. Come to me. And so she asked Javon to lay down, just lay on the sofa. She spanked her.
Did she spank her one time? Did she spank her more than once?
I mean, did you hit her more than once? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How many times do you think that she hit her?
I don't really know. I would say it's more than 3 times. I don't really know. I really wasn't concentrating on it. I was concentrating. What I wanted her to do was do better. That's what I was doing.
Okay.
So then when she was on the sofa, it's like, so when she spanked on the sofa, she jumped up. She was I don't even know where she was gonna go. So Veronica told her to come here. And I think after a time, then she went over there and she went over there with Veronica. And Veronica was in the chair. And if you saw the chair is like it's like an old chair where it's got the big arms on it.
Okay.
You got the little cushion in the seat.
Mm-hmm.
And normally if you go and sit in that chair, you know, to sit in that chair, you have to kind of close your legs because there ain't that much room.
Okay.
And Veronica's a big person, so I thought when she was sitting over there, she was, and it has wooden arms on it, that she wasn't directly sitting just right on top. I thought she was over her, but not pressed down.
Okay.
Because when Chavonne says, well, I learned my lesson, I won't do it anymore. I'll behave. So I thought she was getting up at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't get up. And so Veronica said to her, come on, Veronica. Not Veronica. Come on, Chavonne, get up. And she would move. Because that's when I went over there to see why she wasn't moving. And then we called 911. And then we tried to do resuscitation. But I didn't think she was sitting. I didn't think she was sitting on her because she was moving.
Okay. So she spanks her.
Mm-hmm.
Did she spank her with a bare hand or was it with an object?
Well, she had my belt.
Okay, so she had a belt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She had my belt.
Okay. And after that happens, Chavonne, I guess while it's happening, is Chavonne struggling to get away? Is she fighting back? What's she doing?
Yeah, she's fighting back. That's what she said. That's why I said she was moving.
Okay.
Like, I couldn't sit here and say, did she hit her on the butt? Yeah, I saw her hit her on the butt one time. But then when you hit her, she moved.
So maybe she was aiming for the butt, but ends up hitting something else
right,
or something?
Because she moved. Like, if you hit her, then, you know, she kicked like that, she do like that.
Okay.
Or she'd be twisting her head and doing all that kind of stuff.
So then Chavonne jumps up and gets away?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, she got away. When she was on the sofa, she jumped up.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went over to the chair.
Now, what happened at the chair? Did Chavonne decide to sit in the chair, or did Veronica sit her down in the chair?
I don't even know how that happened. To tell you the truth, that happened. I don't know if she sat her down or not. I just know that she was over there, and Veronica was over there, and her legs were spread over her.
Veronica's legs were spread over her?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's say this is the chair, and I'm Chavonne. Was Chavonne sitting like this in the chair? Just like regular?
Well, I think when I don't remember. I think when she first went over there, yeah, but she turned her, I don't know, I can't remember if she turned her over or if Chavonne turned her over. She spanked her. She was spanking her on her butt. So I don't know if Chavonne turned over to be spanked on her butt.
Okay.
Or Veronica said, turn over and spank you on your butt.
Okay. So at some point, Chavonne ends up kind of like this in the chair.
Yeah,
face down into the chair. Okay.
And I don't know if she was I don't know if she's
maybe hanging off a bit or some sort of variation.
She was down there.
Okay.
But I didn't see Veronica just sitting on her. I don't know how she could. If you saw, you have to see the chair. I thought she was sitting. If that was the chair you was in.
Mm-hmm.
Then I thought she was on the arms of the chair. This is wooden arm chairs. I didn't think you were just sitting on her like, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm not giving you a picture, am I?
Do you think that maybe that Chavonne was kind of laying across the chair?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, what I'm saying, I thought maybe Chavonne was here.
Okay.
I thought maybe she was down here, and with her, she was spread over on these arms. I didn't think Veronica was down here.
Okay.
Do it making sense?
Yeah, kind of. You're kind of thinking that Veronica wasn't putting all of her weight on
Exactly.
Chavonne.
I thought she was on the arms. If you look at that chair.
So you're thinking she's just kind of like Veronica's bearing all of her weight on the arms of the chair.
Yeah,
and
because
not
I don't know how
Chavonne.
I don't know how she could spank. I don't know how she could spank her butt. Because
Okay.
you can't in that chair. When I sit in that chair, I'm sitting. I don't know how they were saying it. But when I'm sitting in that, you sitting here, your legs are like this.
Mm-hmm.
My legs aren't even open enough to sit down on. Like if I sat in that chair and I tried to spank you, your head would be down here. Because ain't nowhere in the world you're going to get between here and on this seat. Because just for sheer size. Now you might be able to, if you sit in that chair and you open your legs up because of your size, you'd be able to do that. But I wouldn't be able to do it.
Okay. All right. So, does Veronica still have the belt?
I don't know if she has it.
Did she still have the belt whenever she was trying to spank Chavonne in the chair?
Yeah.
And was she swinging the belt at her, trying to spank her then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what was Chavonne doing at that point?
Moving, kicking her leg. It was like her body. I had it. And she was moving, kicking, saying, "I learned my lesson. I won't do it no more. I learned my lesson."
Okay. And at that point, was Veronica sitting like this?
That's what I thought she was sitting.
She was Veronica's facing outward with her bottom pushing against Chavonne, or was Veronica facing forward?
No, Veronica was facing the way you were talking about.
Okay, so Veronica would have been like this on
right.
her.
She would have been. I thought she was over her, not on her.
Right. You thought Veronica was getting up, or Chavonne was getting up?
Chavonne was getting up.
Okay.
Because that's the last thing she said. She said, "Let me see. Did she even turn around and look at me?" At one time, she turned around and looked at me. But I thought when she said, "I learned my lesson. I can't breathe." I'm sure she said that. I thought she was getting up at that time. And then Veronica moved. And she said, "Well," and I said, Chavonne. And she didn't move. And Veronica said, "Well, she probably just faking." Then I got up to go over there to see what was going on. And she still didn't move. So we called. And the person on the phone said, "Turn her on her back." And we did that. Well, I had to do it one hand. I couldn't do it with them. We tried to do CPR to wake her up. But one time she moved her arm.
Okay, so to conclude on this story, let me read it out to you. You ready? Veronica Posey was convicted and sentenced to life without parole on March the 15th, 2019 for the murder of her cousin, Dericka Lindsay. Do you think a life sentence is fair? Let me know. Now on May the 28th, 2019, Grace Smith was sentenced to 20 years in prison and James was sentenced to 10 years in prison for aggravated manslaughter. And the only reason I think Veronica got life is because there was a history of abuse. The jury thought, no, this was premeditated or something to that effect. Anyway, comment, tell me what you think.